Hi, my name is Fang Yun Chen, and I am in a group with Ocean, Livia, Shiyun, and Mok, and this is our HACCP project. Our company is called Elephant Cassava Sendiri and Berhad. It was established in 2015. We portray ourselves as a leading cassava processing development industry in Asia. The company is also known as the largest producer of cassava in the world, which prioritizes customer satisfaction and fulfills regulatory requirements. It is Elephant Cassava's management policy to achieve high standards and quality for our end products by remaining consistent. We also maintain an effective food safety system by abiding to HACCP principles. We believe that it is important to maintain these principles and policies to enhance our relationship with our customers. Therefore, it is Elephant Cassava's vision to create an opportunity for growth in the food industry company, to strive for the best for our consumers. It is our mission to empower everyone in the organization to achieve higher standards by providing consumers with high quality standards. Elephant Cassava's food safety policy states that it is our priority to fulfill customers and regulatory requirements. We are committed to consistently producing quality and safe products for our customers and continually improving and maintaining an effective food safety system with the line of HACCP principles. Elephant Cassava's objective is to attend to all of our customers and consumers' needs and to achieve their expectations and requirements. We also would like to provide the appropriate information to all our customers and consumers. We make no compromises on product safety. We also assure quality through the top 5 supplier performance ratings and scheduled food safety training to always achieve quality products.
For the factory layout, our main objective is to keep the flow of the process as simple as possible. For example, in this factory, our raw materials will enter from the incoming goods side and will be sent straight into the raw material storage. And when needed, it can be easily sent for production, passing through the preparation room, cooking room, draining/cooling room, mixing room, and lastly, the fermentation room before going into the packaging area as the final step. The same approach can be said for the incoming packaging materials as well, as it enters the incoming packaging material site and straight into the packaging material storage, which can easily be sent to the packaging area to be packed with the cassava as it is just the next door. We decided to have one entrance for each, the raw materials and the packaging materials, to prevent contamination between the both.
Good afternoon, Dr. Wendy. I'll be presenting on the product description part for fermented cassava, also known as cassava tapai. It is made by fermenting cassava roots with rice yeast. The target consumer for this product will be teenagers and adults, because some of the high-risk groups may not be able to tolerate the properties of fermented food. The processing method that has been utilized is through boiling, cooling, and fermentation before storage. It is packaged in a modified atmosphere packaging known as MAP that has a high gas barrier film with gas permeable properties layer that consists of 30% of carbon dioxide and 70% of nitrogen. Fermented cassava is best consumed approximately 30 days from the date of production, and it is stored at 0 to 4 degrees Celsius. Deliveries will be made by using a refrigerated truck. Fermented cassava has a solid chalk white yellowish appearance, with a moisture content of 14.49%. It is rich in starch, and as for the micronutrients, out of 100 mg, from the highest content will be the vitamin C that has 20.6 mg. Next will be the phosphorus with 27 mg, and lastly calcium with 16 mg.
Fermented cassava has a pH value of 4 to 4.6 with an alcohol content of 5 to 22%.
Other than that, the bacteria that are involved in the fermentation process are lactic acid bacteria, the Bacillus species, and yeast that are known as Saccharomyces cerevisiae. The following has shown that the commercialized process flow diagram of cassava tapai, by starting off with receiving and storing raw ingredients and packaging materials to check and improve the quality of the product to proceed to the production line. Cassava is washed, peeled, and cut before boiling, above 90 degrees for 20 minutes. Cassava is later on drained and cooled to 25 to 27 degrees Celsius before mixing in the rice yeast for the fermentation process. Fermentation takes about 3 days to ferment in the fermentation room at 32 to 35 degrees Celsius to break down the cell wall of cassava roots. for a better quality consumption. Fermented cassava is then vacuum packed and stored at 0 to 4 degrees Celsius before distributing out to the consumers.
So now I will be presenting on the hazard analysis on both raw material and packaging. The raw material consists of cassava roots and rice yeast. Measures needed to control biological hazard is by implementing GMP to minimize cross-contamination. As for chemical hazard, pesticide and heavy metal residue is needed to be purchased from certified supplier. As for the hazard analysis for packaging, it is a plastic packaging with no biological and chemical hazard. The physical hazard will be stone, dust, dirt, and insects. If the raw material and packaging material did not meet the requirement, receiver will reject back to the supplier. Based on Figure 2A in MS 1480-2019, raw material and packaging material is not a sensitive material. Out of 12 processing steps, only 4 steps are critical control points. The biological hazards are boiling, E. coli, Salmonella, and Listeria, which happen when there is insufficient temperature and time to boil. By using hazard rating system, it is significant with severity of 4 and likelihood of occurrence of 3. There are no chemical and physical hazard. Cooling, it has the same biological hazard as boiling. The biological hazard has a severity value and likelihood of occurrence of 3, so it is significant. A control measure is to make sure that the cassava does not get below 25 to 27 degrees Celsius. The physical hazard is dust, but it is not significant. Regardless, the cooling room must be cleaned and maintained regularly. As for fermentation, it is significant with severity and likelihood of occurrence of 3, with biological hazards such as E. coli, Salmonella, and Listeria. However, there are no chemical and physical hazards. The control measure is to make sure that the temperature in the fermentation room must be maintained at 30 to 35 degrees Celsius, cleaned and maintained regularly. Last, the critical control point is storage for the final product. It is significant with a severity and likelihood of occurrence of 3. Control measure is to ensure that the storage temperature is maintained between 1 to 4 degrees Celsius so that you can manage the microbes in the biological hazard. The value of significant severity and likelihood occurrence for physical hazard is 2, which is the damaged packaging and dust. Based on Figure 2B in MS 1480-2019, these 4 steps are known as critical control points.
The first CCP is boiling. For the critical limits, food must be cooked between 90 degrees Celsius to 100 degrees Celsius. The corrective action is to monitor the temperature and adjust it when it is off temperature. This has to be checked every 1 hour and will be recorded in the boiling temperature records to prevent the survival of microbes. The next CCP is cooling. Temperature has to be between 0 to 4 degrees Celsius. If there is a sign of contamination, the cassava must be discarded. The temperature has to be checked with every batch to verify that it is safe. For the third CCP is the fermentation. In the fermentation room, the temperature has to be between 30 to 35 degrees Celsius. To prevent the presence of microbiological contamination, the temperature and the cleanliness needs to be maintained in the best condition. To prevent the presence of microbiological contamination, the temperature and cleanliness needs to be maintained in the best condition. It is important to monitor each batch. The last CCP is the storage. The storage temperature of the final packed product has to be in between 1 to 4 degrees Celsius to store the product. It is important for the operators to adapt the GMP training to keep the product safe.
So, move on to the activities of verification. For HACCP plan, the first one is control measure, CCP, and critical limit that is done every 6 months or when there are changes in a system. The HACCP team or production manager is the one who is responsible for it. The second one is monitoring result that is done on a daily basis by HACCP team or production manager. The third one is corrective action that is done on monthly basis by QA or QC manager or HACCP team. And the fourth one is flow diagram and plan layout every 6 months by maintenance manager HACCP team. Next is verification for food safety system. The first one is HACCP internal audit that is done annually by HACCP team leader or internal audit team. The second one is management review meeting that is also done annually by managing director or HACCP MRM committee. And customer complaint and feedback is every 6 months by managing director or HACCP team. Next one is verification of PRP activities. There are 10 items. The first one is calibration that is done annually by production manager, maintenance every 6 months by engineer, water quality that is done annually by QA or QC manager, cleaning and sanitation every 6 months by QA or QC executive, and personal hygiene that is done annually by HR or admin manager. Next is product recall that is done annually by marketing manager, training every 6 months by HR or admin manager, supplier quality assurance that is done annually by purchasing manager, pest control every 6 months by QA or QC manager, and the last one is storage stock audit every 6 months by store and logistic manager. And the last verification is product or process. Microbiological analysis and chemical analysis are both done every 6 months by QA or QC manager. And the last one is product specification that is done when necessary by production manager. So that is all from our presentation. Thank you.